And we're live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to, I was going to say the chat fight, but we are not the chat fight. We are the cocktail hour. My name is David Sadika, the Sadman, with my co-host, Mr. Nadeem Awad. Say hi, Nadeem.
What's up, everybody?
And we got the big man, Mr. G, the G-man, Gonzo himself, Richard. How you doing, brother?
Well, cheers. I don't know, but Awad, that was
Sober
that was
tonight.
a little sideways there, don't you think?
It depends.
Awad, yeah.
It's a little disrespectful.
No, it's not.
How you doing?
Listen, I know, I'm another Arab, like my brother over here. And I know some families that pronounce it Awad and some pronounce it Awad. So
Awad. It's like
Awad.
My name is Sadika.
Don't
right?
make me
Some
get
families,
my friend.
I know other Sadikas, they say Sadaka, like Neil Sedaka.
You gonna sing for us?
I'm sure that we're all related somehow. No, it doesn't help. No one sends me a check no matter what I send. So
that makes two
you're
of us.
beleaguered.
Well, I'm not singing for free. I don't think
All
any
right.
of you are. So we got Giovanni watching with us tonight. Gio, lovingly known as. And
Yeah,
Elena,
Sunday night got off to a strong start.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. They had a good show. I was enjoying
Very
them.
nice. Great
I was
show.
enjoying them in more than just one way. I want to tell you that right now, Gio. I like the lighting too.
It's synergy here on the Gonzo Radio Network. It is synergy.
He
Synergy's a big word.
pervs it up right out of the gate immediately.
I like
First of all,
that.
he fucking butchers the intro. He's like, nobody knew. He's like, I was gonna say chat fight, but since I said it anyways, let's tell him the real name of the show. All right. The
cocktail hour.
everybody.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, that reminds me, go get yourselves a drink, okay? Because we are much funnier when you have a few in you. And you just might enjoy yourself. You might need a reason, an excuse, whatever you want to call it. They're all synonymous. Just a reason to have a cocktail on a Sunday night with friends. That's who we are. We're your friends. Let your guard down and take off a garment or two. Enjoy, okay? Send us a photo. We love you. We love the fans. Okay, I'm hoping they come in now. So,
Hey, David.
uh-huh.
What exactly are you drinking?
Oh, this is scotch.
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 That would be the signature Johnny Walker Black that matches your T-shirt and your naturally black hair.
He's got a handle. He's sponsored by Johnny Walker Black. I'm sponsored by Ramadan. Zephyr Hills this month.
Sponsored by
Flavor.
Ramadan.
On a cleanse. You're on a cleanse.
Wait. What is the cultural greeting for that? Is that happy Ramadan, good Ramadan?
Is it? I think it's Mubarak. I'm not fucking sure. I'm usually drinking whiskey. I'm just taking the night off. All right. No,
yeah, but how do you
questioning me?
But with Ramadan, what is that? Is that good Ramadan or happy Ramadan?
Yeah, something like that. Just in Arabic.
Just in Arabic.
So, like you say, Merry Christmas, he's saying. So what would you say? Happy Ramadan?
No, Mubarak in Arabic. I don't know. You could say Happy Ramadan to people. You're white. That would work just fine.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Happy Ramadan. Okay.
All right.
You say Happy Ramadan. I'm gonna go get something to eat. Have a good day, and then you leave.
Well, listen, I can't tell with these multiple religious holidays because some of them are about really serious, like, somber stuff.
Yeah.
And then others are happy occasions. You say happy something and they're like, no, that's not what it's about. It's like,
yeah, they all started off somber. Listen to me, like 4th of July, we're all having a great time, based on
celebrates war.
Right.
War.
So, again, to me, all these holidays, just another reason to have a cocktail. So thank you just so much for joining us. Happy Ramadan to you. Happy Mother's Day to the moms out there.
Yes, happy Mother's Day.
And I got to tell you something right now, self-confessed. I'm a mother lover myself. I do. I love you all. God bless you. All right. With every sip.
And here's to MILF porn.
Look at you. You had to go there, huh? It was implied in my comment, but you go right there.
I'm the only one.
No, you're not, but you're definitely
77 million downloads
now.
a week, and I'm the only guy that watches.
Yeah, I downloaded a couple myself this week. You know what I'm saying?
You're keeping the stats?
I'm keeping it alive.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
So I do podcasts, and I just download MILF porn now. That's all I do.
That's the new stats. There's no sports, so everybody's keeping track of the porn. Yeah.
Hey, there was a fight last night. First,
a whole bunch of them.
I watched.
Right. My son put it on. So we got to watch it. It felt a little bit normal. That felt good. You guys watched, you said?
Yep.
Yeah.
I watched Ferguson get the shit beat out of him in the final match.
Yeah. I watched the girls fighting. I thought that was pretty exciting.
I saw one of those. I don't remember the names. Was it Watterson? Was one of them? I think.
I didn't even want to struggle with that. I just enjoyed watching.
She should have won.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's as far as my UFC shit goes, right there.
Right. It's just nice to have something, a healthy distraction of some sort of competition. It's good.
I was a trained fighter actually most of my life. I don't know if I ever talked to you guys about that, but since
go
these
ahead.
times of quarantine, I've taken it back a little bit, and I don't know if you can tell by my attire. I've been outside splitting wood for hours. So
I have seen your left. I've seen your left foot roundhouse.
I've done some roundhouses. Yeah, they don't go as high as they used to, but they're still dangerous.
If you're getting up to go to the bathroom later, if you would, please
stretch first.
Show us what you got. It's been a while because
I think I could pull one off before the end of the show.
That's what she said. Here we go. So listen, tomorrow is a big day in Palm Beach County, man. Talk about getting back to normal. I understand that we're the gates are being open and we're allowed to get back into restaurants at reduced. What is it, 25%? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Some other businesses as well. So, what do you know about it? Anybody else? Did you guys read up on specifics of it?
Well, what Governor DeSantis is doing is he's doing the phased approach, which seems to be working in other states as well. And of course, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. I believe the 5th stage is like pretty much you're on your own. So the rest of the state, besides Palm Beach, Broward, and Dade County, have already gone through phase 1. Okay, now they're moving into phase 2. And then Palm Beach County, which I'm here in Boca Raton, you guys are in Del Rey,
I'm in Boca.
Wherever, huh?
I'm in Boca.
In Boca too, yeah.
Yeah. He's in Boynton.
We're going into phase 1.
Okay.
I believe that phase 1 does not involve bars and restaurants.
Doesn't?
It's phase 2 that involves.
No, it does. It does. They're opening up.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, that makes me happy. The only thing that upsets me is that Broward County got left out. Literally because of numbers, they got left out. So Broward County, get your shit together.
Out.
So there's a good question, Gonzo. How do you think that's going to affect Palm Beach County, specifically Boca, which is the first city over the county line, right? So it's the quickest way into Palm Beach County. Boca.
I work in Broward.
Okay, so my question to you is, if you live in Broward or Dade and you want to get into the free zone, right? Do you get over the line and do you flood all of a sudden Boca tomorrow? And should there be concern that could create a spike?
It's turning into the fucking Hunger Games. It is. It's turning into the Hunger Games. Now we got zones. We got zones and we got levels and we got phases. Listen, how it affects me is as a person who lives in Boca Raton and I am maybe a mile from the actual Broward Palm Beach line. I work in Broward County. I work at a club in Broward County. So, I am adrift. I am there should be water behind me. I should be, floating around, or an outer space background. I think I've got one of those. I'll bust it out in a minute. But it's a situation where we're going to start to see a little more. We've already been seeing it. Okay, whether Palm Beach, Broward, and Dade County were left out of the first phase, we went ahead and did it anyway. People were going ahead and opening up anyway. Businesses that were like cabinet makers and people like that, craftsmen, stuff like that, with small showrooms, they were letting people in 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, but those aren't social kind of businesses. So the question is now, if you're looking to get out socially, which it really involves more of the public, should we be concerned that we get a flood of people from Fort Lauderdale and Miami coming into Boca? Okay, because it's the first line, it's the quickest way in and out to get back home. Okay. And Boca's got a lot of restaurants. Should we be
don't see
concerned that like we get this big surge into our restaurants, into our hair salons, and then all of a sudden that creates a spike and then we go backwards? Should we have waited?
Well, that's what the limit is for. I believe it's a 25% capacity limit. Okay, because they're just not throwing open the doors willy-nilly. Woohoo! It's on. All right. I mean, we've been blessed. Do you live by West Boca Medical Center?
Off the Glades, yeah.
Yeah. They didn't get swamped. They didn't get swamped at all. I mean, they handled it.
I get it. That's why the numbers are lower in Palm Beach County than the other two. That's why they were allowed to open. Again, will this create that spike? That's what we got to wait and see.
I don't see people rushing into Palm Beach County from Broward. I just don't see a big rush.
I hope you're right, because I live here.
Well, I live farther south than you. You know, I live over there by the C14 canal. You know, I live in Sandalfoot. I'm right down the street from the border. But I don't think we're going to see like a migration of people that come rushing up. Oh, we want to go to a restaurant. Who cares?
I feel the same way as you. Like, I'll just wait and, I'll go to my own neighborhood restaurant, or I want to wait and see even if my neighborhood opens up. I'm not so anxious to get out to a restaurant, but there are people like that. And there are enough of them.
Can I let you in on a little secret?
Go ahead.
Can I let you in a little secret?
Go ahead.
I'm a cynical prick about this.
Son of a bitch.
Open it all up. Turn everybody loose. It's up to you to pay attention. You want to be ignorant and you don't want to do these things, you can make a suggestion. But no executive order, no nothing. Here's what we suggest you do. And you can go ahead and do your business however you see fit. But here's what we suggest you do. I
agree with you. So, but
I'm
not
tired
how it's
of the
being
debate.
handled. Now, I'm also of the school that, like, if there's like a huge flare up, like what New York experienced.
It's unfortunate.
What New York experienced, maybe the government needs to step in and say, hey, we got to grab control of this before it becomes, I mean, it did become something pretty bad up there.
They just hit a 9-week low.
What's that?
They just did a 9-week low yesterday, which I believe was
God bless
207.
them. I mean, as a ex-native New Yorker.
Yeah, the graph hit the peak and now it's coming down.
I understand that New York had to take certain measures, but other parts of the country, even way beyond what Florida experienced, we had good numbers for a state that has over 20 million people. We had good numbers, but there are other parts of the country that had single digits. They're just in the sticks. So they can't be, to me, doesn't make sense to treat them like New York. It just doesn't. So, we're a big country, and I look at each state like its own little country. Like in Europe, all those countries, they're on top of each other. They're all handling.
And it is kind of like that.
Yeah.
We are a republic. Everybody likes to talk about, we're a constitutional democracy. Man, what did you fall asleep in 8th grade? Did you just sleep through 8th grade American history? It's like, no, we're a republic. Okay. One of the reasons why we had the Civil War is because we're a republic, and a republic lets states make up their minds. Okay. Let them make all the hard decisions and make all the tough choices. Okay. I don't want to sound like a right winger or a Republican or a states rightist, but there are a lot of rights that the states have, and they have responsibilities.
You're an American citizen, and you've been accustomed to certain freedoms, and we don't want to lose that. And you know what? Because I don't want to say too much on this, because we got to get to our guest. But it's
you're all fucking night.
Yeah, no, we're gonna. But I tell you,
things to say.
I'm sure you do, and but we all want the same thing. Everyone's concerned about death and people being safe, but
I'm confident that people are going to do the right thing. I'm confident.
There's two different types of people. There's people who are saying you can't trust people; they're all a bunch of idiots, and with that attitude, well, we got to stay locked up forever. And
I think there's a bunch of idiots.
There is, for sure. But
I think there's a
run
bunch
your
of smart
country-
people.
You can't run the country based on the actions of the few. Most people are good-hearted, intelligent enough to get this shit done. And if we see someone stepping out of line, we have a duty to shame those people, to not do something stupid and put us all in jeopardy. We don't need the government to step in and overstep to the point where it infringes on the majority of people who are capable of handling this like any other danger in the world. We know not to step into the traffic, and we're going to know to take care of ourselves when there's a disease out there that we need to take care against.
It sounds so, but listen, do either of you know anybody who was born and raised in Asia, like through to adulthood, like, 18, 19, 20 years old? Anybody? I know a few people that were born and raised in like China, Japan. I know a guy from Malaysia. Okay. It's as simple as this. American society, American culture has to change that mentality of I go where I want, I do what I want. Sure, you do. Okay. But you have a responsibility now, because now the big bug has come. Okay. We've already had big bugs before: influenza, SARS, bird flu, the clap, whatever. Okay. We did real good with AIDS, huh? All right.
We're still fucking.
You can't wear a face mask to protect from AIDS. AIDS is a little more complicated. But
they didn't shut down the city for AIDS.
I understand that. Okay. Because in Asia, a lot of Asian cities, big Asian cities, and not just China, but I'm talking about Japan, I'm talking about South Korea, I'm talking about Vietnam. Okay. Vietnam clowned the world when it comes to this virus. Clowned the world. All right. Now, Singapore did a really good job, but they just experienced a second spike. And what did they do? Locked it back down again. My point being, though, going on and on, in these Asian cultures, if you ever watch Anthony Bourdain's shows, and he's off in Thailand, and he's off in Malaysia, okay, these large, really crowded cities, it is an obligation for you that if you insist on leaving the house and you've got a little boobans, something that we as Americans, we go to work with. Just don't sneeze on me, don't kiss me on the mouth, don't drink after me, you should be all right, right? No. You get the whole office sick. You get the whole club sick. All right? I mean, you don't realize you spread. So in Asian cultures, people wear masks when they've got a little boobans, so that if they do go to the grocery store and they sneeze, but they sneeze into their mask.
What's a boobans? Clarify that for the audience and me.
The little spelkus, a little head cold, a little rhinovirus or whatever.
When I was a kid, it was a badge of honor to go to work sick.
I understand.
Okay? Yeah,
but guess
you were a
what? That's
pussy if you
now.
called in sick.
But that's over now.
Okay,
it's over now.
Yeah, I hear you.
It's
One
done.
day I
All you
hope
got to
we
do,
can return
listen,
to that.
Watch any Anthony Bourdain show where he goes to Asia. Okay, you see at least a third of the people are wearing surgical masks.
I get it.
Okay, because it is a social faux pas. And if you get to the point where you're coughing and sneezing in, say, a bodega or something, or a convenience store, people call the cops on you.
Wait, you're talking about in these countries?
I'm talking about Japan. I'm talking about Tokyo.
Right.
I'm talking about
Glad
Seoul,
you're
South
clarifying
Korea.
that. I hope we never get to that point, because
But
that's
what
why
I'm
we
saying
don't live
is
there.
we're there.
Yeah, well, I hope that goes away, because
But
over
it's
time,
not going to go away. The mask thing is going to be a thing now.
I disagree. 2 years from now, it's going to be like 9/11. It's like it was a memory, but we're really not living by those rules.
We still take our shoes off at the friggin' TSA checkpoint. We still go through metal detectors.
I don't know that I'm going to be comfortable living like that.
And 1 out of every 8 people gets a colonoscopy. We still do that.
Yeah, I know.
That
All
was
right,
19 years ago, bro.
Thank you so much for indulging. We're going to get into our guest. We're going to talk about our special guest. He's a
Did you just redirect me?
Absolutely, because I hate having Lenny waiting this long. He might have fallen asleep. Hey, before you bring him on, Brad, we're going to show a little clip of Lenny. If you could roll that, please.
Hey. One of my friends goes, Lenny, you won't believe this. The other day, my wife said, pack your stuff and get out of the house. So I pack my stuff and I'm getting out of the house. And she goes, I hope you die a slow, agonizing death. And I said, so you want me to stay? I wish you'd make up your mind.
All right. So that was a little piece of some of the artistry of our guest who is with us right now, Mr. Lenny Travis. A very accomplished
Is the world
comic.
still, we still here?
Welcome.
Welcome. Yeah, let's all clap it up for Lenny.
Hey. I feel like I'm doing the show from a bunker.
Hey,
You look
Lenny,
like you're in a bunker.
Lenny, thanks for joining us tonight, brother.
Hey, how's the radiation in West Palm? It's not as bad as Broward. Good news. They said we can go out in 2022. I already made reservations.
You look like you're in the comic protection program.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I did some things.
Did some things.
I'm a rat. I rat it. They're all rats. His whole family is rats.
They got him.
How's your quarantine going, brother?
Yeah, I'm having the best time ever. The wife's home.
Yeah.
So she's been working from home this whole time. So we're basically on vacation.
Very cool.
And one of you was getting paid.
I know.
So here's a question we've been asking people. Do you think that all this time together will or has enhanced your relationship and made it like more romantic, like another honeymoon? Or could this force a divorce because of all the time you've spent together?
You know, we just get along so well. I'm having probably the best time I've ever had.
Wow.
Like I'm not kidding. I don't want to brag, but we're just having. It's almost been like a honeymoon for like 50 days.
Well, that's great.
Is she behind you? Is she behind you?
Yeah, you're in a safe place, Lenny.
Good night, honey. Get me out of here, quick! She just left the room. You gotta get me out of here. Get me out.
Oh, it's so funny from a guy who makes so many on stage. For people who are not that familiar with Lenny, he has so many marital jokes. You would think he's got the most miserable marriage in the world, but actually, we're hearing the truth now. He's got a love fest going on at the house.
Oh, it's insane. You know, we're actually we mellowed out, but it's like we're probably going three times a day, every single day.
3 times
we
a day.
We go morning, noon, night.
That's nice. That's an afternoon delight.
It's like she goes, lunch break. I go, lunch break. Wake up in the morning, and then the regular night.
How are you still walking right?
There's a reason to toast. Lenny, did you bring something to drink?
Yeah, I got Malibu.
Oh, good for you.
Look at you, fancy.
He
Cheers.
is so tropical.
My invisible beer.
Malibu rum.
Space beer.
It tastes 100 times better than any kind of rum I've ever tasted.
I want to tell you something, Lenny. I'm okay with what you just said, but there's a lot of people out there who are probably angry because they're not having the same experience. So right now they're cursing you and they're sticking pins in their voodoo doll of you for being.
We look at each other and we go, I wonder what everyone else is doing.
Wow.
Like I go,
Screw them.
I have an idea. Hey, you know what? I got an idea for next week's podcast now.
The last comic on earth.
Oh, Jim Patterson is on with us. He says that your wife has got a gun. Okay, that's good. That's thank you, Jim Patterson. Dougie is there.
Dougie.
Yeah, Dougie says Lenny looks like he's tanning. He made mention of your bodega light, the one you got hanging over. And Brett Morris, he says, prove to me that one single person caught COVID from Publix. I'll wait. Okay, listen, we're talking about sex now, Brett. Come on, calm down.
I caught the clap from Publix once.
Oh man. So
once.
Yeah, let's get into, we've worked with Lenny and we've seen Lenny work on stage many, many times, and he's fantastic. The great thing about Lenny is no matter if you've seen him multiple times, you still laugh. That's the beauty of his work. Right? I mean, Nadeem, Gonzo, we agree?
Yeah. Fun fact.
Yep.
Mr. Travis has already been on the network.
Yes, he has.
Yeah, Gonzo interviewed me on stage at Boca.
Mm-hmm.
When I was attempting to do the horrible South Florida David Letterman bit, and I did a very nice stage show produced by myself. Thank you, all by myself. I wrote a horrible 3.5-minute monologue. Perry Sack came out, warmed up the crowd, did a great job because otherwise they wouldn't have known to laugh at my crap. And then I had Lenny on, and I tell Lenny, he's like, how long you want me to go? I was like, 5-6 minutes, 7.5 minutes. I'm going, screw it. We'll edit it out in post. You killed, you destroyed. I mean, we had like 30 people there, and you destroyed. I mean, everything. You got the whole spectrum. You got the belly laughs, the chuckles, the uncomfortable laughs, the groans. The groans, of course, for me, groans are better than people falling out of their chair laughing.
I like groans too.
So yeah, he was
talking
awesome.
About comedy. Listen though, Lenny's been in this a real long time. For anybody who spent any time with him, Lenny, has told us all stories of how he got started as a teenager.
It's been at least 3.5 years because he was, 2016 is when he worked with
me. At least 3.5.
At least 3.5.
I love I'll talk to an open mic or not even someone who's been doing comedy 2 or 3 years.
He's bright. He's a fast learner.
Lenny,
someone goes, I started comedy in 2016. I go, 2016? I go, ask me when I started.
That's
how when did you start? I go, 1979.
I got a fresh newcomer coming up right now.
Tell us about your teenage years, how you got started, Lenny.
Yeah, I started on Long Island in 1979, and me and my friend, we always wanted to do stand-up together. We always wanted, we liked the Mel Brooks and Woody Allen movies, and we were high school friends, and we said, if there's ever a chance to, try stand-up comedy, we should try it. And there was a club 10 minutes from where we lived. So it was called the White House Inn. The White House Inn was run by Richard M. Dixon, and he was a Nixon impersonator who was gigantically famous until Watergate. And then his world came crashing down. So we opened this small little room in Hicksville. We go there on audition night for the very first time, and we had an okay set for 5 minutes, and he immediately booked us for Friday and Saturday because he didn't have any acts. So we went from thinking about doing it to all of a sudden this guy going, you're hired every single weekend from now on.
How old were you?
16.
Wow.
Now you can't leave.
The guy used to give you $10 and a free drink. So I never even drank before. So I'm going, $10 and a free drink. I go, what's the most expensive drink? And the bartender goes, Johnny Walker Black. I go, that's what I'm having.
This stuff?
16 years old, getting wasted.
Maximizing your profit potential, young man. Very good business decision.
It was
the Jew in me.
Yeah. So that was, how long did that last, brother?
That went on for like 2 or 3 years. So, Richie Minervini, the godfather of comedy on Long Island, he had a club 20 minutes from the White House Inn. But in his group, like Eddie Murphy, it was about 2 years before Saturday Night Live. So Eddie Murphy was there with Bob Nelson, Rob Bartlett, Dave Hawthorne. And these guys, they had their own 10 guys. And these guys were only about 3 years ahead of us. But and even Richie said, he goes, go to the White House Inn and work there for a few years and get good. And then you can come to my club. But at the White House Inn, like Rosie O'Donnell used to go on, I must have seen her go on like 70, 80 times. Wow. She was like right like in one group ahead of me. But Eddie Murphy was the coolest guy in the world. Like, he would always say hello to you. Like, we would go to the East Side Comedy Club, Richie's place, even though he said stay there for like a couple of years, we would always go there because they had open mic night. So
Is that where you lived? Were you out in Long Island?
Yeah. So all these clubs were all within 30 miles. So one of my favorite Eddie Murphy stories, he was very friendly. We're like the same age. He's like a year older than me, but he had his own friends, and he was definitely the funniest guy there. But he was only making like $50 a show. So there's an open mic night, and me and my friend, we go there, and we bring the tape recorder, and there's maybe 15 people in the room, and then Eddie and all the other comedians that he hung out with in the back. So one of my favorite bits, Jay Leno used to do a bit. And this is how you thought to write back then. You go, I'm going to take Jay Leno's bit and I'm going to add a couple of lines to it. So Jay Leno had a bit and he goes, you ever go to a bad supermarket where everything on the shelf is old? He goes, I went to such a bad supermarket, Mr. Clean had hair. And I go, oh, that's so funny. You know, all the products are old. So I went up there. And I go, and I wrote taglines. I'll tell you as I did it. So I get up on stage and I go, oh, the supermarket, it was such a bad supermarket. Everything in the supermarket was old. And then I go, Mr. Clean had hair. And you hear Eddie Murphy on the audio tape going, Mr. Clean had hair, that's funny. And then I go, Captain Crunch is still a private. And he goes, Captain Crunch is still a private. And then I go, Aunt Jemima is still in chains. Oh. And you hear Eddie just scream on the top of his lungs, because the tape where I was recording must have been right near his table. You never heard such a loud laughing scream in your life.
Aunt Jemima still in chains.
And then I think Richie came over and said something like, that's a great bit. And I go, well, you know, Jay Leno. And he goes, you can't take Jay Leno's bit. And I never did the bit again.
You killed.
It served its purpose.
So then from Dixon's, me and my friend, we always wanted to write for Rodney. You know, it all starts with, did you ever read the book, Ladies and Gentlemen, Lenny Bruce?
The book?
I have not, no.
That's the book that everyone read that wanted to start comedy, because you read this book, and the first chapter is a day in the life of Lenny Bruce, and you see he gets out of his car and gets out of a cab in New York, checks into a nice hotel, he starts doing drugs, then he goes, does a show, kills, goes back, does some more drugs. And when we were thinking, boy, that's what I want to do. And he was with a stripper wife and everything. We were like, you know, that's so cool. So Rodney was Lenny Bruce's friend. So that's how I got turned on to Rodney Dangerfield, from reading that book. And then I started watching Rodney and I go, oh, you know, so we wanted to write for Rodney. So Richard M. Dixon, the guy who owned the White House Inn, goes to us, hey, I know Rodney, because Dixon was big at Catch a Rising Star. Like, he was famous. He was on all the TV shows before Watergate happened. So we give a page of jokes to Richard M. Dixon. And then the next day, Rodney calls me on the phone. I think I'm in 11th grade. And he goes, hey, I'm buying 2 jokes from you. And don't ever go through that guy again. He's an asshole. He goes, anytime you want to send me jokes, just here's my address to send me the jokes.
So you got a direct line into him at that point.
Yeah, and all the jokes that we ever sold Rodney had to do with sex or drugs. Every single joke.
Did you get any extra if it had sex and drugs in it at the same time?
Yeah, I'm trying to think if it... No, it's because Viagra wasn't around back then. The first joke we ever sold them was, this girl was fat. I wanted to get on top of her. I needed a ladder. I mean, you think that's simple. I saw him do it over 100 times.
He probably
this
used
girl's fat. I wanted to get on top. I needed a ladder. Then the second joke, and I saw him do it on specials. He goes, there was a lot of drugs in my school. The teacher said, form a double line. We all got high.
It's goofy shit, man. It's funny, though, man.
And then I gave him this joke. I go, I had sex with an inflatable doll. Now there's an inflatable guy looking for me. And I thought it was totally stupid. On the second Young Comedian show, I'm watching the show, and Rodney's at the bar, and he goes, "Hey, I just had sex with an inflatable doll." And the bartender goes, "There's someone at the door who wants to see you," and it's an inflatable guy. He filmed the joke.
That was the one with Dom Irera and
It was
Dice
one of
Man?
those. But so I go up to Rodney in Dangerfield, and I go, "Hey, I saw you film that joke I sold you." And he goes, "The check cleared, right?" I go, yeah.
The check cleared, right?
Like he thought I was shaking him down for money or something.
I
Yeah,
just
you
want to
wanna-
know if you wrote the "you came home early" bit.
Which one is that?
That's where he said he comes home from work, and on his way down his street, he sees a naked man running towards him.
Oh,
When he
no,
gets
that
home,
wasn't
he
me.
asks his wife, he said, "Did you see the naked man? Why is there a naked man running
Yeah.
down the street?" And she says, "Because you came home early."
Yeah, because you came home early.
He had some way about him, man.
This was like I told you, this is one of my favorite Rodney stories. So we're 16 years old, and we lived right by Westbury Music Fair, and every big act did it. Like Rodney did it once a year for like 30 years. Westbury Music Fair. It was a 3,000-seater in the round. So he goes, "Come backstage and say hello." So after the show, we go backstage, and he's all by himself. And you would think, no, there's not even a friend or a relative or person or a woman. He's sitting in this big giant dressing room by himself. And we were looking like, and he couldn't wait to hang out with us. And it was the first time we really hung out with him. So we're hanging out 5 minutes, and he takes out a joint. He goes, "You guys want to get high?" And we go, "Sure." And it was rolled up so bad. Did you ever see a bad joint where like the
Oh, yeah.
person doesn't know how to even roll it? Like I remember he handed it to me, and there were sticks coming out of the paper, and seeds were falling out. So even after looking at it, we didn't even want to taste it. So we go, "Rodney, here, try one of ours." So he takes one puff, and he goes, "Can you get me 2 ounces of this?" Like just like that. So back then, when you were in high school and you were smoking pot, there was maybe 1 or 2 dealers in the whole school. Like you didn't just become a pot dealer because, you figure your parents would never talk to you again if you ever got arrested, at 16 years old.
Yeah, it was
So
a
I
big
called
deal.
my friend who I got it from in high school. And I said, "Hey, Rodney Dangerfield is going to call you. Is that okay?" And he goes, "Yeah." He dealt to Rodney for 10 years.
Nice.
And I would bump into the guy over the years, and like in a club, in a bar, and I go, "You still dealing to Rodney?" He goes, "Absolutely." He goes, "Rodney is insane." I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Rodney, he had me bring like 7, 8 ounces over to his apartment, and when I got back to Long Island, there was a message saying that he wanted another 7 or 8 ounces." And I was like, we both looked at each other. We went, "What could you be doing with all that?" And Rodney was just like, he was like us, like, he loved to smoke all day. He was the guy who woke up, smoked until he went to sleep.
Wow.
Like he thought nothing wrong of that. Like smoke all day, drink all day, do as much coke as possible.
Wow.
Which I never got into the coke of it. Like coke always made me nervous.
Yeah.
But Rodney just loved it all.
Yeah.
He lived it up.
Yeah. He was like an old school. Like if someone said, "Rodney, I have a coke problem." He goes, "You still have money in the bank?" And the guy goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, you don't really have a problem, do you?" I mean, you think about that, you go, "Oh, you only have a coke problem when you have to steal for it."
He had a real unique style, New York style.
I know.
And it was it was great. I mean, that was before there was.
Like I knew him before the movies, so once the movie started, then it was you couldn't get in touch with him anymore. Like he even got a big head. He didn't have a big head in '79 and '80.
Yeah.
And then when Caddyshack and Easy Money came out, he was a movie star, and we were like, we couldn't believe it. We were like, how did this guy become a movie star?
It's pretty amazing.
But he was a nice guy. He let me. I worked his club once a month for maybe 7 years because they didn't pay a lot, and if they liked you, you could do it that often.
Well, do you get the opportunity to spend a lot of time with him during those years?
You know what? Not after the movies. He kind of became a different person. He wasn't really into, like, he was just too big. I remember once he came into a friend of Rodney's saw me do, like, this was like a crazy thing. It was probably 1986 or 7, the second or third Young Comedian special. So they were looking on that special was like Dom Irera, Seinfeld, Dice, Carol Leifer, Bill Hicks, Kennison. It was that type of crew.
Yeah.
That's who they were using. And they needed 1 or 2 more spots to fill. And all those people, were, I don't know, how many of them, but like that group was hanging out in Dangerfields the week before the special, just doing that set. So the place was packed. And the manager of the place, the guy who was actually booking the Young Comedian special, sees me and he goes, "You want to do 5 minutes?" Because someone didn't show up. So I do 5 minutes and destroy. And when I get off stage, Rodney's best friend happened to be in the club. And he goes, "I'm going to tell Rodney to look at you." And I was like, I was only emceeing then. It wasn't even middling. So the next night, Rodney comes in drunk as hell. And he walks right up to me in the bar and he goes, "Hey," his friend's name was Joe. And he goes, "Hey, Joe told me I have to take a look at you." And I looked at the guy who was, putting on the acts, and Rodney walked away and the guy goes, "No way." Like he wasn't putting me up with Dom Irera, Dice, Hicks, Kennison. Like he wasn't putting me on that show. And I remember thinking, yeah, I didn't think that was going to happen.
Oh, that's too bad.
You got burned.
And now I'm here with you guys.
There you go.
The greatest show in the world.
That's it's like one of your jokes.
It's like one of your jokes.
Right, yeah. To be here in Plantation, this is the end.
But yeah, I wasn't getting that show. That guy Joe didn't know how long I had been doing comedy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I
saw every one of those shows. Every Young Comedian special, I was hanging out. I remember once Kennison came up to the bar and I was standing with 2 or 3 comics and he goes, "Rodney's out of his mind. I never saw a guy snort so much coke." And when he walked away, someone said, "Imagine Kennison is saying that about somebody else."
It's true.
Wow.
Yeah, he was a wild man himself.
Yeah.
Right.
Like and he looked like amazed.
Yeah. I remember back in those years watching them like on HBO and I used to love
it. There was like 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah.
It was the biggest comics that there was.
Yeah.
Like when I could almost rattle, it was Dom, it was
Dice Man.
Who was Schimmel, it was Seinfeld, Carol Leifer, Roseanne, Lenny Clark, Bob
Sobel.
Nelson. Barry Sobel is the guy that they picked in that slot that I was going to audition for.
No way.
And I remember when he came in, and I remember seeing him on The Tonight Show doing his Beastie Boys bit, and I go, "That's the guy who ended up getting the last slot."
The Beastie Boys bit.
Remember that bit?
He did the rap, yeah.
Yeah.
And then he talked about, the political correctness. So like, Chinese guys make excellent drivers. Okay, you win. Okay, fine. Black people don't yell in movie theaters. Okay, fine. Sometimes they shut up. Okay, fine.
Did you hear the story? So Sobel wanted to wear a black leather jacket, and Dice was on the show.
Mm.
So Dice goes, "Hey, you can't wear a black leather jacket. I'm wearing a black leather jacket." And Sobel goes, "Screw you. I can wear whatever I want." So Dice goes up to Rodney and goes, "Rodney, this guy's, I'm going on with a black leather jacket, and this guy's wearing a black leather jacket." So Rodney goes up to Sobel and he goes, "Hey, you can't wear that leather jacket." And Barry goes, "Why not?" He goes, "Well, if you wear it, you could get back on the plane and go home, or you could go on stage and not wear it. And that was that.
So he took Dice's back on that one.
Fucking Dice.
Dice.
I know. Fucking Dice.
Well, it worked out. Everybody did all right that night. It was a great show. I remember.
I know.
I have it on VHS. I think here in my drawer. I had Dom Irrera sign it last year. I went to see him over at the Black Box.
Oh, you told me.
The VHS tape, and I said, Dom, I waited up, to record this, because back then on HBO, you didn't have like where you could just order the show and watch it whenever you want. You had to wait till it was going to be on. So I waited up.
No taping.
And I put the VHS tape in, and I recorded it, and I fell in love with that whole show and watched it.
Dom is one of my favorite comics ever.
You worked with him in LA on a sitcom thing?
Yeah,
right?
he had I wrote a pilot that they aired on Comedy Central, and it was called Midtown North. It's hard to get. I'm pretty sure it's on YouTube. Actually, if you go to YouTube and you put in Joey Land, like that's the title of the person who put it on YouTube, and you put in Midtown North, Joey Land, you'll see there's 2 episodes of the show, and Dom was the star of the show. Like, he was the funny guy of the show, and it's unbelievable that this show didn't get picked up. So it was on Comedy Central, 6 episodes, and then ABC bought it to bring on regular TV, and they made a pilot, and it didn't go. But Dom was just like, I think he would have been like as big as Seinfeld. Like,
what
that's
was that,
how
like a
funny
strike or something that happened somewhere in the middle?
No, the show didn't get picked up.
Oh, it was that simple?
It was that simple,
like
yeah. But Dom was the star of the show. Like, he was the funniest guy. He had all the funny lines.
Is this thing on?
Well, yeah. Is this thing on?
Sorry, my computer froze the fuck up right in the middle of the Dom Herrera story.
To pinch the love, to roll some legs, or to heave the Havana. Vile and disgusting words. I don't talk like that, do you? I don't. Listen, our good friend Dougie Almeida, he wants to break your balls a little bit. He said, "Hey, Lenny, tell him when Dice wanted you to rub his back."
Yeah, well, I'm working with Dice at a club.
Oh,
and I could see he's sitting, he's sitting on the couch in the green room of the comedy club. So I could see that there's hair shooting out of the top of his jacket, like hairy back hair.
Ew.
And then neck hair.
Oh.
So Dice looks over at me, he goes, "Lenny, my neck's killing me. Could you give me a massage?"
Yeah, how about?
And I looked at him, and I looked right over, and I remember going, "No, I'm not going to do that, Dice."
I don't blame you.
I go, no. He goes, "My neck's killing me." And I was just like, no soup for you.
No soup for you.
Layman, you big hairy Jew.
And then his father hears this and jumps across the room and starts giving him a massage.
Jeez.
Got to get him ready for the game.
Dice was a nice guy. He was very nice. He was nothing like he is on stage,
No. I would think,
it's like talking to you right now. Like, he's a totally nice, cool guy to talk to.
I think that means that I'm a nice guy.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's very nice of you to say.
Yeah, you wouldn't talk like that, would you?
I don't. Do you? Nadeem, who was your biggest influence then? As a 16-year-old kid, I mean, you got to pay attention to somebody, and then that influenced you the strongest, that kind of developed your comedy.
It was everybody. I used to listen to there was a comedy hour on the radio when I was even 14, 15, and 16, and they would play like Rodney, Buddy Hackett, Woody Allen, Bill Cosby. So everyone, those are the guys you listen to. Mm-hmm. Like, I remember Bill Cosby bits, like thinking that this guy is the funniest guy in the world, that Richard Pryor, like the main 6 or 7 guys, like those are the guys everyone listened to.
Oh, yeah. Woody Allen was hysterical.
Yeah. You listen to Woody Allen in concert, It's just absolutely hysterical. Every single line.
Yeah,
As a matter of fact,
people don't believe me when I tell them that Woody Allen was not good. He was a great stand-up comic.
Yeah, he was probably like he was like the best.
he was fun.
Like that's why he got the picture deal before. Like George Carlin didn't get a 5 deal picture deal. Woody Allen made Take the Money and Run, and that was it. Like when you watch that movie, it's one of the funniest movies ever.
I saw Woody Allen on the Mike Douglas show because I'm 100, but I saw Woody Allen on the Mike Douglas show, and this is when just after he had been making movies, he just started making movies. But he came out and he did like 4 or 5 minutes, destroyed. You could literally hear the people howling in the crowd.
You could see him on. You know what? They're all on YouTube now. You could go and see. There's a million clips of Woody Allen doing stand-up in the 60s and maybe even in the late 50s.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Those were the days.
Or the early 70s even.
Yeah.
But you know what?
Killer.
You know what? I've always enjoyed your work. Hey, Brad, can you cue up one of Lenny's sets there, one of his bits? It's the Jinx one. Can you cue that up and let people see some of that?
I love the Jinx one.
This was a sad one. One of my dad's friends passed away. Guy's 100 years old. He's married for 75 years, everybody. 75 years. He's about to go. The family's in the room. The wife's sitting on the bed. The guy looks at his wife and the guy goes, "Honey, when we met in Europe and got put in a concentration camp, you were by my side. And when we moved to the United States and I lost all our money and we went bankrupt, you were by my side. And now I'm about to die and you're by my side. Honey, you're a jinx."
When we met in Europe, married for 75 years.
Are we back, Brad? Okay, we're back. Hey, listen. So, if you were watching that, that's one of my favorite bits from Lenny because nobody sees it coming. It sounds like so romantic. Honey, you were there when we went bankrupt and when I had hard times and all this sob story shit. And honey, you're a fucking jinx is the best. The entire room.
It's like a Mike Tyson uppercut.
Oh my God, I love it. I love it. And not just great material, but the delivery has everything to do with it. You know, and Lenny, you got that New York style, that classic tone, that cadence that just brings it home. Again, you know, it's a New York style, and you say that all those other comics influenced you. It was a great time to grow up in the comedy world, wasn't it?
I know.
Yeah.
You know, then, so imagine Richie Minervini had, you know, the White House Inn only gave you $10 a show. So Richie would give you like 50. So then you had the East Side Comedy Club. So Jackie Martling, you know, from Howard Stern, he's working the East Side Comedy Club. And when he decides to open up a competing comedy club about 20 miles away because he wanted more work. So he starts a club called the Brokerage Comedy Club. It becomes a giant success, like sold out 4 shows every Friday and Saturday, 2 Friday, 2 Saturday. After about 4 years, the owner of the brokerage goes, "Why do I need Jackie Martling?" And he throws him out, and Jackie goes and starts Governors. Both of those clubs are still there. Like the clubs are probably 35 years old. So then another club, Richie's brother, opened up a club 20 miles from there called Chuckles, Chuck Minervini. And then there was a giant club called Jimmy's Comedy Alley in Queens. So now there were 6 major clubs in Long Island, which you could do 3 or 4 times a year with 1 or 2 phone calls. So through the 80s, I was making about $700 a week MCing, all through 84, 85, 86, 87, 88.
It's good money back then.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about Pips?
Pips was a great club because they only paid $200 a weekend. And they paid $200 to the MC, the middle, and the headliner. So nobody wanted to MC or headline because why would you?
Right.
So I must have worked Pips, I'd say, at least 30 weekends with Ray Romano. And I never became a good friend of his because he always wanted to go up first and then go do spots in the city. So every time Ray was on the show, I had to headline.
Can we show the picture of you in Pips before we? Hey, Brad, you got that picture? He sent it to us today.
That was a picture of Rodney outside of Pips with the comedian. And then when he didn't become big, he started Pips. Pips was open for like almost 50 years, I think. It was one of the oldest comedy clubs in the United States.
Right. That was
So,
in Brooklyn.
Pips was, yeah, Sheepshead Bay. Once I'm doing a show in Pips. I must have worked there once a year for about, I worked there, I mean, once a month. So I would do 12 weeks a year. I did that for about 7 or 8 years. Because you never, why not work? Take the $200. And if you did Pips once a month, you could easily fill your calendar in and end up working like, 8 weeks in a row, 15 weeks in a row.
Pays the bills.
Yeah, it's like, why not do it? So I do Pips. I do the first show, walk across the street, smoking a joint with one of the other acts. The crowd goes in for the second show. We walk back across the street, and there's a dead body right in front of Pips. A mob hit, and the mobsters did the same thing we did. They waited for the line to go in. So as soon as the line went in, and we didn't hear the shots, but it was that fast.
Holy shit.
That's the
and we're looking at the body, me and the other act, and I go, is this guy sleeping? And the act goes, no, he's not sleeping on the sidewalk, Lenny. He goes, this guy's dead. And as he said that, a bunch of the guy's friends come running towards us, and they start screaming, he got Rocco! They got Rocco! And it was, you couldn't believe how real it was.
Oh my God.
Like you looked at it, you go, it absolutely, like, I was in shock from these guys' reaction to it. Like, it was so frightening to see, like, these guys screaming that, and they walked right past us. Like, for a second, I was praying, I go, I hope these guys don't think for a second that we had anything to do with this.
So the newspaper the next day said Lenny Travis kills at Pips.
Yeah. They said Lenny Travis kills at Pips.
By the way, Lenny, a friend of mine who happens to be doing the audiobook autobiography of Rodney Dangerfield, he's listening. He sends you lots of love for the stories.
Oh.
He's cavelling. He's kvetching. He's verklempt.
That's all right.
He's loving it. He's blowing my phone up. He's like, I can't believe the stories. This guy's, oh my God, the picture.
Is he doing an autobiography for real?
Yeah, he's doing the autobiography. He's doing the auto narration. Yeah.
Okay.
The audio book.
Well, maybe you could reach out to
Ron Fox. Big shout out, brother.
Okay, peace, Ron Fox.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely got to check that out.
While we got to pause here, we want to send a couple of shouts out to we got Joanna, who says she loves your accent, Lenny. She's seen you many times at our shows. With working with me and Nadeem in the Boca area and Deerfield. Jackie Sanchez of the Sanchez's also says hello. She's watching.
Gracing us with her presence.
What was that about her presence?
Yeah,
Gracing
she's
us
great.
with her presence. Yes. Yeah, she's a wonderful young comic, and we really love her work. She's a truly talented young lady. Sarah L. Comitant is also with us, and she says hello. And Brad is with us, and as well as Brett from the previous show, Brett Morris.
Brett Morris.
He's enjoying watching.
Not a Jew.
No, but a South Floridian, which is almost there. Before we get into the next era in your life, we want to show the another clip. Hey, Brad, can you cue him up? It's the issue that has something to do with sperm.
And my favorite joke about being married. A guy walks into a sperm bank. He's got a sperm sample, a gun, and he's wearing a ski mask. And he goes right up to a female teller and he points the gun and he goes, "Drink this." And she drinks it. The guy takes the mask off. It's her husband. He goes, "See, that's not so bad." Is everyone okay? I'll move on.
You told me again.
Coming back. Hang on.
Are we back, Brad? Are we back? Brad, are we in? Okay, so we're back. Again, another one of my favorites there with
That's not so bad.
Lenny. I don't know if anybody gets the joke, but all the husbands do. We get a lot of resistance.
Hey,
Right? It's not so bad. Huh?
so bad.
You got a gun to your head, you might drink it. That's really hysterical.
I used to love to say to all the women in the crowd, at one point you just go, "Ladies, if you want a date tonight with your husband, blow him tonight. Guys, you're welcome."
I'm sorry, I almost blew your punchline. I couldn't resist. You're welcome.
You're welcome, guys.
I always laugh.
It's very generous of you.
Oh man, I love it. Yeah, even the wives laughed. My wife was like, "Did he just say that?" I was like, "Yes."
yes.
And you pay attention to what that man said.
There's going to be a quiz later.
Okay. Need a little more ice over here. I'm sorry. Let me fix this drink. That was definitely a funny joke. Does your wife find you funny after all these years, Lenny?
Yeah, we met in the Boca Comedy Club on Glades. So she saw me the first. That was how we met.
Now known as the Black Box Theater. Or?
The Black Box, when it was the New York
Black
Comedy
Box.
Club.
Yeah.
It was actually 10 years ago this October.
Right.
We've been together ever since. I was opening for Peter Fogel.
Peter Fogel.
Fogel's a guy I know from the 80s.
Yeah, he's still around down here in South Florida.
Yeah. Funny guy.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what was the next phase in your career?
Then I moved to LA in the late one of my friends, John Mulrooney, he was known as the funniest guy in New York at the time.
Uh-huh.
I think it was probably 1988. Remember when Joan Rivers was hosting the Late Show for Fox? And Johnny Carson got mad at her. Remember all that stuff? If you remember that?
She competed with him after all the breaks he gave her.
So then her ratings got bad. Her husband committed suicide, and then she got canceled. So Fox saw John Mulrooney at a club or a convention, and the head of Fox said, "I want you to host the Late Show." And I was one of John's good friends from New York. I could have been working Pips. And he called me up and he said, "Cancel all your gigs. You come into California to write on this TV show." So I moved to California in 1988, and we were on the set in Fox on this TV show. And we thought this was a giant break. This was it. When we get there, we find out that it's between John and another comedian. Like, we didn't even know this until we got to California. But anyway, we go, all right, what could we do? So this other guy, very funny black guy, John Joseph. So it's the funniest thing. They go, this is what's going to happen. One guy is going to host Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. The other guy will host Thursday, Friday. The next week we'll switch, and after a month, we're going to pick a host. So we're doing shows, and we're writing bits, and we're on the bits. You know, there was only 3 people writing the show. You know, now, like, a show like that has 20 writers. So
At least.
So one night after 2 weeks, the black guy's on TV, and all of a sudden we're watching him, and he goes, "You know what really bugs me?" He goes, "I don't like the fact that John Mulrooney has his ass sitting in my chair," and he starts throwing all the cushions off the couch on the set. Like, picture of Johnny Carson went nuts and started throwing the furniture around. So this guy thought it was funny, and they fired him the next day. So we thought, that's it. You know, they're going to pick John. And instead of that, they ended up bringing another guy in. Now, this other guy, I forgot his name, but he was a talk show host from Seattle. So he was very smooth. So then it goes on for 1 or 2 weeks, and they tell John, they go, "Look, we're going to make a decision on who's going to be the host of this show. We're going to give you you have one more show to do." They go, "Do it, make believe you're playing to the Midwest, do a clean, funny show, you know, don't do anything crazy, you know, you're playing to middle America." So for some reason, the people who were helping us booked Dice on that show.
Oh boy.
If you could imagine this. And even as soon as they said that, they go, "Well, this is our last chance to win this job. We're going to get Dice." And I remember thinking, I could have sworn the guy said that he wanted like a clean, you know, non-abrasive show. And I remember it was in my head, but everyone was so happy because Dice was just breaking like gigantic. So Mulrooney does a monologue, kills, and he brings Dice right on first. Imagine that. Like, right after the monologue, you bring on Dice. So Mulrooney sits down, he goes, "My first guest, here he is, Andrew Dice Clay." And Dice walks out and he grabs the mic, and I'll never forget it. I'm standing on the side, you know, in the wings of the show with maybe 5 of the biggest executives at Fox. And Dice takes the mic, and Dice looks at the audience. He does that thing with the cigarette and with his neck and stuff. And then the first thing he says is, "So I'm banging a big fat pig." And it was almost like everyone around me turned and left. His first sentence.
Oh, that's great.
I go, "Oh no!"
Just start
And then sure enough, they ended up going with the other guy. But years later, maybe 4 or 5 years later, I bumped into Dice, and he goes, "I really feel bad about losing that show for Mulrooney." Like, it's still stuck in his head as soon as because he remembered seeing me there. And I remember when he said that, I go, "Yeah, you know, shit happens. I hope that pig was worth it."
Yeah, little Bo Peep, huh? She needed the money.
But wait, what happened to the pig? What? Hey.
She's at what's that barbecue place off Power Line?
Yeah, Bad to
Fat
the
Boys
Bone.
Barbecue.
I know what you're talking about.
Of course, the fat guy knows where the Fat Boys Barbecue is.
Lucille's Bad to the Bone. How you doing?
I love that place, Lucille's.
Yeah, I know you do. Yeah.
But so another guy, so everybody knew Richard Jenni, like in New York. We all, like, I never ever went to like a birthday party of his or anything, but he's a guy that I probably bumped into like 50 times. And all the New York guys, we all knew each other. Mm-hmm. So around 2002, this is after my stint in LA, and then I was in California. Actually, the whole 90s was another story. Right. But basically, I was bumming around LA getting small jobs until you live off your savings, and then eventually you go, it's time to leave. That's when I did the pilot with Dom Irrera. Like that pilot, with Dom Irrera, took almost 3 years to fail. but it gave me enough money to live there for like 3 or 4 years. Then I worked on shows like Make Me Laugh on Comedy Central. That lasted 2 or 3 years. So then I ended up, Maloney, the guy who was doing the Late Show, got a job on radio in Albany right when the NASDAQ, remember when the stock market crashed in 2001? So
Yeah.
we're in Albany, and we were on morning radio, me, Maloney, and my other friend that I mentioned from high school. So I remember one day we were on the air for 6 months, and everybody loved us. And people in Albany, it was a real friendly town. We were doing great morning radio. One day they just fired the whole sales staff. And this was right after the NASDAQ crashed. And the first big recession was starting. And I remember thinking, they fired the sales staff? Well, that has nothing to do with us. And then they fired us about like 2 weeks later. And we go, oh, yeah, they can't get any money. They fired the sales staff.
Oh,
So
that's a radio thing for sure.
Yeah. So in 2002 or 3, I end up in Florida because I'm between places. So my parents moved to Boca, right down the road from the Black Box.
Right.
So Richard Jenni, remember Uncle Funnies and Davy?
Sure, I loved it. I used to see Dom there all the time.
Yeah, Dom was a regular at Uncle Funnies. So Jenny is there, and I was staying with my parents, so I was like, I got to get out of the house. So I just go say hello to Jenny, and he was like a mess. Like he had just gotten from the airport, and he was getting dressed in the kitchen of the place, and he was all disheveled. And I start talking to him about old times and stuff, and we're laughing. And I watched the show, and after the show, I gave him like 1 or 2 jokes. And he laughed so much that he goes, you want to open for me next week at the Improv in West Palm? And I go, yeah, absolutely. So we do West Palm, and again, we were staying at the beach. Like he would take the money they gave him for a hotel, and he would like double it and stay at the nicest hotel on the beach in West Palm.
Good for him.
So we hung out for the whole week, and I never hung out with him before. And we were just writing jokes and laughing. And he goes, why don't you come with me to Tempe, the Tempe Improv next week? So I go to him, and I don't even know where this is going. And I go, this is just amazing. You know, I'm having the time of my life. So at the Tempe Improv, after the weekend ends, he goes, HBO just gave me a comedy show. You know, they're giving me a stand-up special. He goes, I'm going to go on the road for 9 months every weekend and then film the special. So it'll just be like I'm working another weekend. He goes, do you want to go? And those 2 shows turned into 4.5 years.
Really?
Wow.
Just from those 2 shows. And just from writing them jokes. And I used to always give him, like I would give him jokes to things he already had. And if he had like a bit, I would give him the joke that like got the applause or something. So he loved that. And he used to say, he goes, someone could give me a joke, but you're giving me the joke that either ends the bit or gets applause.
Right.
This is one of my favorite bits. He didn't do this on the special. We're sitting in a limo, and we're driving to Mons Venus in Tampa. Did you ever hear of this place? It's a famous strip place.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
It's almost like it's the hottest girls I've ever seen in my life at this place. So we're in the limo, and we'd probably been together for about just a little over a year in the 4.5 years, maybe 2 years. And all of a sudden he goes, somewhere out by the airport, girls dance nude. And if you give them some money, they'll have no attitude. And we both start laughing our ass off. So as soon as we stop laughing, I go to him, I go, she'll climb a pole and do a stunt, and you'll be staring at her, everybody. And he closed with it for the next 2 years. He closed with that bit.
Everybody.
And then, just as a throwaway, I go, and you'll be staring at her, everybody. And then I go, ass. Of course, the audience doesn't like it when you say the word cunt. And he did that part. And I remember every night he did that, he'd go, well, nothing's funnier than that. He goes, nothing does better than that. He goes,
Sure.
it is, I use the word cunt, but he goes, but no bit does better than that. And he closed with that bit for the next 2 years. But that's how it was, like writing with someone.
Those are good words to use. It's on the no-fly zone now, and we don't give a fuck. We just don't give. Yeah, we don't give a fuck because that's actual. That's funny shit, man. I mean, that's really good stuff. As a matter of fact, we have another bit of yours we want to play. It has to do with the Boca Raton regulars. Brad, if you cue up the one that has to do with the different races, like something to do with our Jewish population down here in Florida. If you could cue that.
The Jews?
The Jews.
The Jews?
I do love coming to South Florida, land of my people, the Jews. How are you, Jews? Doesn't it make you wonder what any Jewish person's doing in Israel when you could be in South Florida? Same weather, no one's throwing rocks. You know, in the future, the only way we get along, everyone goes to their own planet. That's what's going to happen. The Jews will go to Jupiter. The fat people will go to the Milky Way. The Greeks will go to Uranus. You see where I'm going with this? Tell me where you're from and I'll tell you where you're going. The Polacks will go to the sun. What the hell? You see the head Polak? We'll leave at night. We'll be fine.
I wish.
Yes, Jupiter. Yes, we like that one.
Yeah, man. So that's what you you say that's from the late 80s, that joke?
Yeah, I do a lot of I still do my original 10-minute act because otherwise I can't do 45, 50 minutes. Which is bad. You hear about these guys writing new hours every couple of years. Unfortunately, I was never one of those guys.
Okay.
Like I got new bits, but like sometimes I do an hour or I have to do 45 to an hour. And it's like, you work in a tough place. Remember the beer garden? That was one of my favorite shows that I've done in probably the last 5 years.
In Boca? That was one of your favorite
When
shows?
you booked me there, the crowd was so hostile and I was screaming into the mic and the room came alive.
You got those motherfuckers under control because we had some microphone issues in the beginning.
Right. It started
it wasn't
slow.
loud enough in the back. So,
right.
So they were in the back at the bar area where it wasn't loud enough for them. They started to get a little chatter. And you got up on stage and said, "Hey, you assholes back there at the bar." And they all turned around. And no one could have pulled that off like you. And it was great because you got their attention and they wound up loving you.
It was like a miracle that all of a sudden this rowdy, and it was packed. And it was packed with half sitting, half standing people. And people standing don't want to listen. They're all
Did
talking.
somebody say beer garden?
Oh, beer garden in Boca. And we can't wait to get back open in there and get a Sadman show going on. We're looking forward to that. We're going to get Nadeem back on the fucking stage. South Florida's clamoring for fucking him and Lenny. And we might even get Gonzo out there soon enough. But you know what?
You want my really strong 3 minutes.
Yeah, that's what she said. And you know what? Lenny, though, he's one of the crowd favorites over there, man. That was a great night, Lenny.
It was. Like, I don't think I'll ever forget that show because I hadn't had a show like that probably in 15 or 20 years. Like, that's what used to happen to you in bars in Jersey.
Uh-huh.
And I remember thinking, I got to yell at these fucks. I'm going to start screaming at them if they don't start listening.
Well, they listened.
No, it was like from start to finish.
Yeah.
Hey, douchebags.
But they laughed. You cursed at them and they laughed. And I watched that and I said, wow, he's good, man. He's good.
Yeah.
You call them assholes and fuckheads. I think you called them fuckheads. Hey, you fuckheads. And they were like, this guy's funny.
Cursing at the crowd.
Yeah.
Oh no, I tell you, laugh it up, you fucks.
I'm telling you
Laugh
right
it up,
now,
you fucks.
it's that German beer. It makes people mean.
Yeah. When
It
you
was
make
great.
fuck a noun, it becomes so funny.
Even the
you call
manager and the manager over there, Eric, you know, and he's not easy to please. He was sitting there going, "This is funny. This is funny." He's cursing at the crowd at the bar, and they're laughing, and he was laughing, and I said, "All right, everything's okay now. Lenny's got it under control."
Like to call someone a dumb fuck is nothing funnier than all of a sudden fuck is a noun. It's like, hey, wait a minute, fuck isn't a noun.
It is now.
It is now. You dumb fuck.
You dumb
A
fuck.
noun
Yeah.
if you make it a noun.
Not a lot of people could pull that off. I couldn't pull it off. You know, if I get up there, it's like, you dumb fucks. They'd rush the fucking. They'd be
Let's get 'em.
They'd be like the village, you know, is taking me outside with pitchforks. They'd beat me. They'd leave me in the gutter. But you got it done, man. And I was laughing my ass off. When you play at one of our shows, I sit there, I become an audience member, and I love it. I really, really do.
I know we have a lot of good shows, you and me.
Yeah. And Nadeem, right?
We've
And
done some
Nadeem,
shows.
yeah.
Remember that private gig we did in that green
Yeah.
place?
Me, Nadeem, and Lalo. How's Lalo doing?
He's good. He got deported. He's back in Colombia.
Did he? You had me. Did he?
No, he's
doing
doing a quarantine Bob Vila right now.
Yeah.
That was a great show. We did a private show at a golf course to people. It was like a concert.
Yeah, that was the country club. That was really good. We all tore it up that night.
Yeah.
It was a blast. 130
That was
people.
probably that was as a response. You know, not like the beer garden. That was probably one of the best shows I've done in 5 years, easily. And you got everybody.
It was good.
Yeah, I was afraid that I wasn't going to be able to follow you two guys because that's how great the crowd was. Boy, when was that? Wasn't that right in the middle of the pandemic? Was that February?
I think December, right? I think end of December.
No, it was February 1st. It was February 1st.
Oh shit, you're right. Yeah, that's right. Because I was just
Just
it was
before
February.
the pandemic.
I don't know what fucking day it is. I only know it's Sunday because I'm doing this podcast. That's the only.
This is my favorite pandemic story. I'm checking out of the supermarket, Publix down here. So I'm wearing a mask, and I'm wearing like a hat. And in my shopping cart, I got 5 cases of water and like cases of disinfectant and hand soap. And the cashier goes, "How you doing?" And I go, "How am I doing? I'm wearing a mask." "I'm wearing a mask, lady." And then she goes, "Oh, I just meant," I go, "No, I'm just being funny with you." But I actually said that to her. I go, "How am I doing?"
Like to see a manager.
I'm wearing a mask. I got 5 cases of water. The world's ending. How are you doing?
You're a little dehydrated.
Have a nice day.
Have a nice day.
What a twat.
I'm missing an arm. How am I doing? You know that REM song? The End of the World?
And you know it.
I hate REM.
Okay.
Do you see any way out of this without a vaccine? Does anything get back to normal? No.
These things fizzle out. Come on. It's not going to be forever.
Hey, Donald Sadman. One day it magically goes away.
No, they do. Think about the other viruses. Look, it might not happen immediately, but you got to be optimistic.
I got 2 words for you: Spanish flu.
Where is it?
We don't want those 2 words. Those are bad words.
I know that's Lalo's new half hour.
We got social media now. We can tell people, look, it's time to stay in. Back then, it was you couldn't get the word out. There was a lot.
Here's a game I like to play. I like to play this game. How many times a day do you think you have it?
I know.
I'll walk out of Publix. I'll get in my car, and my head breaks out into a sweat, and I go, "Oh, that's it." I go, "That's it."
I got it.
Oh man,
I
go,
feel a little roughness in the throat.
Then I'm in bed, and I just let out a giant sneeze, and then like one nostril is stuffed for about 15 minutes, and I go, "Interesting. That's how 90% of my colds have started."
Right.
You know, all of a sudden I can't breathe through my nose.
All right, but in all fairness, back in the 80s, how many times did you have like even like if you get like a pimple down, downstairs that you thought, okay, I got to go for an AIDS test? How many times?
Oh, jeez. Let me tell you about AIDS. I hope I never get that again.
Yes. Fuck.
This on? Is this on?
But we all, you know what? Whatever is the disease du jour, I don't know about you. I'm a little bit of a hypochondriac, right? Nadeem definitely is. He's got all kinds of issues. Gonzo, look at him. Okay. So I got to assume you got a little bit in you too, right? So we're going to all walk around thinking we've got something at any given time. But the truth is, I don't want to say that there's nothing to worry about. We got to be careful right now, but it's not the end of the world. It isn't. You got to be careful. And over time, this too shall pass. I don't know how long it is. I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not a medical expert, but I'm an optimist. There will be a time when this is behind us.
Well, you know what? You could get a vaccine tomorrow, but without a vaccine, you're not going to have professional sports. Like no one's going to a stadium.
Yes.
No, but let's put it in perspective here. Okay, we've lived with influenza A and influenza B for about 80 years, 90 years even, because you're talking about the Spanish flu. The Spanish flu is pretty much influenza B. Okay, and what do we get? We get the flu shot at CVS, Walgreens,
right.
That. Okay, there's no flu vaccine. There's the flu shot, and that's an antibody shot, and that's what that's the point they're trying to get to right now. Okay, it's as simple as that. That's what the big race is on. So vaccine schmaccine. I'm sure they were talking about getting a vaccine together in 1919. Oh, we'll have a vaccine in a couple of years, a trial test.
Yeah. Then the 20s are going to start, and things will be great in the roaring 20s.
Yeah, 100 years later, they still don't even have the vaccine for influenza B. So don't get your hopes up for a vaccine. Just hope they come up with a treatment and an antibody vaccine.
Well,
like there's no sign of every single day the deaths are going up by at least 1,000.
Okay, but
you would think that one day it would just be like, oh, only 20 people died today. Every single day, it's either 1,000 or 2.
Well, I'd like to think that we got better technology than 1918, first of all. That's for starters. Second of all, there's got to be a turning point where we have more people with antibodies and it starts to slow down. Like any other virus in history, historically, it does fizzle out. Okay? So, I listen, and I don't want to talk like, big shot. I'm one of the first people that said, let's stay home. But there is a turning point where you got to start, carefully getting back out there because we got other shit to be concerned about. So I want to be optimistic. All right. That's all I'm going with is optimism.
Yeah, I know.
Eventually it will get behind us. And
because if I don't get football, there's going to be a problem.
Now I see what
you understand. If I don't get football, college and pro, if I don't get football, there's going to be a fucking problem.
How does a restaurant stay in business if they're only allowed to open 30% of the tables?
Oh, they don't.
Well, you let me come in first.
Right, yeah. Restaurants.
Right.
Restaurants don't operate it. 30% capacity is called going out of business to a restaurant.
We let fat people in.
Yeah.
Me, my buddy Fat Frankie, a couple of Brett's a big boy. We get some big dudes in there.
Well, what?
We'll make your day.
What's going to happen is we're going to wind up, it's the survival of the fittest is going to happen in restaurants. You know,
We scared Nadeem away.
he'll be back.
Nadeem
Yeah.
away. Nadeem away. Nadeem away.
Oh, that's
Nadeem
good.
away.
That's very good. What's going to happen is, you know, the weak restaurants that were on the verge of going out,
They're
they're gonna go
gone.
out. I mean, look,
Bye.
South Florida still experiences season. Okay, we're going into summer, so they didn't get to the benefit of a full season down here. So they got no nuts stored away. Now we're going into the summer. You know, when we reopen, some of them just aren't going to reopen, and some of them that are on the borderline of reopening, they're not going to make it through the summer. And between those two factors, we're going to go into the fall with probably only the better restaurants surviving. But that's probably as much as that we need, because this is just my prediction. I don't think that people are going to be rushing to get back out there to be shoulder to shoulder with others so
No.
quickly. I think that people are going to cautiously take their time to see if there's any spikes, and they want to dip their toe in the water before they get all in. I don't know. What's your feelings on that, Lenny?
No, I figure without a vaccine, you're screwed. Like, you're not
Right.
going to be able to pack. How, unless you're going to really have NFL games without people in the stands, there's no way to put people in those stands. I can't imagine you're going to have an NFL game to an empty stadium.
Right.
Like,
Well,
does that make
the
any
Miami
sense?
the Miami Dolphins front office came up with an idea of 15,000 people, and it was pretty spaced out. I believe it's like every 2 rows, and the seats are spaced like groups of 4 are spaced 4 seats apart, so it's like 6 feet between them. Yada yada yada, and people come and go in groups. But I mean, you know, you're honestly, who's going to come back anyway? Who's had a job? How strong is the economy? Is anybody even like I
Yeah,
said
it's a
before,
big domino effect.
you open it all up. Forget 1, 2, 3, 4. Everybody go back to work. Open the restaurant, open the club, go back to work. Wear your masks, do your disinfectants, all that.
Yeah.
You're still only going to get 25, 30% capacity anyway.
Like me and my wife right now, we don't have any plans to go to a restaurant for the rest of this year.
Exactly.
Why not?
Without a
You're
vaccine.
doing
Like,
3.
we're not that hungry.
You're going 3 for 1. What are you talking about? I wouldn't be leaving the house either if I was you. You're like
No,
Hugh
I'd be
Hefner.
like, yeah, no, like we even said, we go, I'm definitely not getting on a plane until there's a vaccine. I could say that much, because one person coughs on a plane and that's it. That's that.
And we
They
all
said that,
got
like,
it.
yeah, one person could cough on a plane and get everyone on the plane sick. So now you shut down air travel. I don't see how the economy comes back from this.
Well,
You know, unless a vaccine comes out, or everyone just chills out, and maybe later this year there is a vaccine, or maybe they'll find out that the death rate isn't going up, or if it does go down, then you were right that they really didn't need anything. It took its course.
Well, look at Theraflu. Okay, all you got to do is go to your cold and flu remedy aisle. Okay, once again, let's keep in mind, like you said about the Spanish flu, the flu fucking kills people.
Yeah, 60,000
Okay.
a year.
As bad or worse than this. Okay, I love the equivalency of we've now surpassed the death toll for Vietnam. So we do that every year.
I know.
I'm a fat guy. 400,000 people die from fat.
You know, you look at it this way: between people in nursing homes, if you take out people in nursing homes and New York, it wasn't really that bad.
No.
you know,
No.
and it doesn't mean let's get out there and have an orgy. It means let's get out there. Sorry, Gonzo.
Fuck.
Yeah,
Sorry, I know
God
your
damn
harem
it,
is
David.
you have
anxiously
a
awaiting
mellow
you.
freeway.
But
Hang on. I got to change a list here on my thing.
No,
what I'm
Appointment.
saying is, But let's get back out there, social distance. Let's figure out how to slowly get back out there and figure this thing out as grown-up adults,
orgies in the
American
streets,
citizens, and figure this thing out. But nobody wants to be handcuffed to their house. That's a little bit overreach, in my opinion.
You got to pay extra for that.
Yeah.
I know.
That's the reach around, not the overreach. You got that wrong. The reach around.
You don't seem to understand. Okay, before the coronavirus, I was O for 2020. Okay, I mean, forget Kobe Bryant died and coronavirus and Australia fires. I haven't gotten laid.
Well, thank God you're helping the numbers go down, Gonzo.
The whole year is a fucking disaster.
Hey, what's the new murder bug? What was that thing called?
Yeah, murder hornets.
Those things are ugly. Those things, they don't even look real. They look like a cartoon. They look like a cartoon drawing of a bee.
It's almost like a bit. I'm going to wake up today, turn on the TV, watch this. I'm going to predict something. Murder hornet. There it is. Murder hornets.
Murder hornets.
I'll show
Did you see the video? The praying mantis picks up the murder hornet and eats it?
Yeah.
Is that? The praying mantis can kill the murder
mantises
hornet?
are
They put them together. The praying mantis takes two hands, grabs the murder hornet, and just starts biting his head off.
Oh, that's the best.
Just eats its face. It was nasty.
It was like eating an apple.
All right. Well, that's pretty gross.
So my wife goes, all we need to get is a couple of praying mantises around.
Send them to China. Really fuck them up.
Fucking Chinese fucked us good. They fucked
send
us
you murder
good.
mantises.
No, we didn't do nothing to you. No.
We made Fifi in the
Oh, come on. You had to go there.
That's helpful. Piss the Chinese people off. That's really fucking helpful.
That's how they spread the disease. They make jokes.
Yeah. Look what happened last time we made them stop fucking us over with trade deals. They got mad, and look what we got now.
I know.
Listen,
I was going to this place. It's called Miyako, Japanese American food. It's a Japanese buffet on Federal Highway. I must have went there 4 times in February, and it was in the news every day, the virus, and it never occurred that I shouldn't be going to this restaurant. And now you think, would you ever go to a buffet with everyone touching the same things? And then
it literally has a sneeze guard.
Yeah. It's got a sneeze guard to keep the corona out of these spare ribs.
Oh, yeah. That
and
really
then
matters.
you're eating the food with your fingers. Like I'd be eating spare ribs and chicken wings with my fingers that I pull, and I just touch the tongues that 100 people just touched.
Listen, all I have to let me give you a little advice, okay? I'm in the restaurant business and distribution for my entire life.
His computer froze.
Hey, what's up there, Gonzo?
He froze up. No further questions, counselor. We're done with you.
It's like we're all in witness protection now.
No, it's been a thing like that tonight. We lost Nadeem completely. You saw I dropped out for about 5 minutes. My computer just went.
Yeah, my tablet's working fine.
Well, as long as your tablet's working okay, that's all that matters. If David can hear me, David, just reboot your entire computer. Just reboot.
So why isn't Skype couldn't figure out how to do what Zoom is doing?
I don't know. Zoom is having issues, obviously. Brad, I know you can hear me. Is Zoom doing this across the board? Hey, David, how you doing? Welcome back.
All I'm saying is ask to see the kitchen next time you want to go to a Chinese restaurant.
I just got a text from my Chinese takeout place. They're like, we're open, by the way. I text them back. I know.
We have fortune cookie for you.
Yes, that's why I'm not calling.
The fortune say you spend time in hospital.
What, cat is good? What do you mean?
You like ventilator?
Yes.
Oh man!
I'll have number 23 and throw in a ventilator.
Oh God!
I just want to let you know, Nadeem is now stalking us on the link here.
His phone died again, didn't it?
He says he got disconnected by the link, and now he's watching us and he's mocking us. He's a real son of a bitch. Dougie Almeida writes, no vaccine, no order. I'm going to assume he did that in an Asian accent. Okay. He famously does his wife's Asian accent, which doesn't exist, by the way, which is always very funny. No vaccine, no order. Okay? He's very funny with that.
Now all of a sudden, I want
his wife
pad
is a
thai.
good sport, by the way. She's a real good sport. What was that?
Said now all of a sudden I want pad thai.
Pad thai? You like pad thai?
I love pad thai.
We love you a long time.
Pad thai, very good for you. Lots of vegetable.
You want miso soup? Miso horny.
Oh.
We can go on all night.
Yes, we could, but I have a special story for you.
Go ahead.
What? You're the one that wanted the big boobs.
All right. Give me a boob story.
The big boob of a.
Who doesn't love boobs? We were all born to suck boobs for the first 6 months of our lives.
Well, I'm gonna try to do some branding for this, but what did you do? Did you lose? No,
I'm here.
Okay.
Dougie said his wife is gonna kill me now. Now I got a new enemy. Everybody hates me.
Dougie said his wife is.
Go ahead. I was only kidding.
She's not gonna kill you. So our big boob of the week, and it is actually a female.
Okay, who's the big
is
boob?
actually a woman. And I don't know if you heard the whole thing with the kid that got shot in Southern Georgia, Ahmaud Arbery.
Oh, sad case, sad story.
Yeah, it was like a bad action movie. It was like the really, really bad beginning of an SVU episode. Okay. This guy was jogging through a neighborhood in Southern Georgia, in Brunswick, Georgia. I don't know if you've ever been to South Georgia. Lovely area. People are a little Southern, shall we say. But getting out ahead of an official statement, Glynn County, which is where they're from, Glynn County Commissioner Pete Murphy said Friday, a couple days ago, District Attorney Jackie Johnson, which I'm sure that she's being shown right now. Police officers from arresting Gregory McMichael and his adult son Travis after they allegedly shot Ahmaud Arbery on February 23rd.
So these are the alleged shooters that we've been seeing all over the news.
Yes. The scene set up is that Arbery was jogging through a neighborhood unarmed, did not look threatening. He came upon two men in a 4x4, and one was brandishing a shotgun. A struggle ensued, and he got shot. And
they wonder why the guy was running. They go, "We just want to talk to you. We just want to talk to you. Pick up a pickup truck and guns."
Yeah, not
I wouldn't stop either.
But due to a conflict of interest over Gregory McMichael, which was the father, past time, he was an investigator for Glynn County's DA's office, which was, of course, run by Jackie Johnson, her buddy. Rather than going to the state attorney general's office to hand off the case, Murphy said Johnson went straight to Ware County District Attorney George Barnhill, which is just next door. He decided that within 24 hours not to press charges. Another big boob. So now we're getting the can kicked all over the road here in Southern Georgia, mind you. Love my peeps in Georgia, but you got to get a little farther north before you get out of Georgia. Murphy said that Barnhill later stepped down at the request of Arbery's family, who noted that Barnhill's son worked as an attorney for D.A. Johnson. So you're seeing a lot of nepotism. A lot of this guy used to work here. A lot of this guy used to work there. So there's boobs everywhere, but we're just going to stick with Jackie Johnson.
It's so sad.
Yeah, and
this is a boob of another color, right? Are we talking about a different type of boob now? We're talking about the big boob of the week, which is the
we're talking many boobs here.
All
There's
right, well,
several boobs. I mean, this is.
I think one of the dad's lines was he actually had a southern line like, he's done gone. You know, like one of those lines were like, he's done gone loco.
For
Like,
sure.
I've never heard done in that used in the phrase. He was in that house that's under construction. Now he's like done gone plum. And I was like, oh my God.
Lost his mind.
Yeah, like he done lost his mind.
is what happened here.
Yeah, and I went,
Jackie
oh
Gleason
my
in
God, did he just
This thing got to the Georgia State Attorney General, who, as with everybody's experience, when things get kicked up the chain of command, I'm sure this guy had this come across his desk and he was like, how the fuck did this get here? There's 4 layers of people between me and the actual crime. How did this get to me? So once it gets there, they're a little annoyed. The Georgia State Attorney General Chris Carr assigned the case to Liberty County District Attorney Tom Durden, who called in the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, who recommended a grand jury decide whether to press charges against the McMichaels. And they did. The GBI arrested McMichaels Thursday following an announcement of an official investigation into the case by the GBI. So in other words, they had to go call some real fucking cops
Yeah.
to make the arrest.
I'm surprised you haven't heard anything about bail.
Right. And let me tell you from personal experience, I know somebody who was in the GBI, and the same with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, which is our FBI. We can't necessarily call it the FFBI. But when you're getting to that level, that state police, elite police, those people don't play. There's zero play. There's no warnings. We're coming to pick you up to take you to a facility where you will await to stand trial because we went through an exhaustive investigative process. We don't give a fuck who you are.
My gut says there's going to be one person on that jury who's going to think these guys aren't guilty. It just has to be.
And it's going to get passed all over the state of Georgia until it gets up to Atlanta. And then once you get into DeKalb and Fulton County,
then maybe they'll have 12 jurors that agree.
They're going to have like 45 jurors. They're going to have backup jurors. Okay, it's going to eventually, you watch, it'll get passed. It might, I forget which county Macon, Georgia is in, but it might get passed up to Macon, Georgia. Once you have a state, you might have the state attorney actually preside over this because the GBI, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, is in on it. So these boys are in big trouble.
I think, you know what, they'll end up getting, they'll go to a civil case after they're found not guilty because I can't imagine it's going to take a lot.
What are you going to sue them for their fucking pickup truck?
I know, but that's what happens, like OJ.
Well, you know
I've
what?
got 14 assault rifles and a 10-year-old pickup truck.
So your boob of the week is the DA,
Jackie Johnson.
Johnson.
And her extra friend boobs who turned out to have different connections, different other people connected. So much conflict of interest in this flaming bag of dog shit of a blatant midday murder.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we all saw the video.
Day,
it's terrible.
Broad daylight murder.
No one's going to disagree. It was horrible, terrible. It's horrific to watch. I can't even watch the whole thing. Like I see it.
If this was Monday night, she would be the douchebag of the week.
Terrible.
The guy was 2 miles from his house.
Yeah. It's
like that's
sickening.
Exactly how much I walk every day.
And everybody's in full agreement. But you're going with the DA for holding on to it for 2 months and really dragging this out, which makes her a fucking jerk off. But let's call her the boob of the week.
Which is called Boob.
Yeah. And we want to, because this is going to be a story that isn't going away and it's something that's going to be unfolding. And we're going to watch it weekly and monthly. And I'm sure this is going to be a long story that we're going to follow. So thank you for bringing it to everybody's attention. Terrible situation. And I think
Li-
everybody
Listen,
agrees with that.
it's red hot because let me tell you what, this is an instance where social media brought the call to action because as we explained, it got kicked up the road, up the chain of command, not once, but twice until it got to the point where the state attorney general stepped in and got somebody who they knew wasn't corrupt or didn't have a brother, cousin, nephew, father, whatever, connected to the case, to either one of these schmucks. And they went, oh, we got to call the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. Oh, this is going to be a state level event, and they are in very large trouble.
Well, I
Yeah,
hope
let's
so.
see what
because-
happens.
Unless there's something we don't know about that we didn't see on that video, but it's pretty cut and dry. It's a horrible visual, man. It really is. And
I
that's
clicked on the video and then I immediately stopped it. I go, I can't watch this.
right. It can't. It's
And
terrible.
I said, oh, I got to see this. I got to see this video. And I clicked it, and 5 seconds in, I said, oh, I can't watch this.
And you got to wonder how that video, which happened, back
It was
then.
it was a third guy in the back of the pickup using his phone.
Yeah, that's another question. Like, where the fuck did that come from? Someone's
They're
videotaping
looking for
this
it.
shit?
They're looking for him.
Like, how did he know to videotape this shit? Like, how is this stuff all?
I know.
They were out being big shots. They're carrying around shotguns and riding in the back of the truck. And of course, they want somebody to videotape it in case they come across somebody who fits the description.
Crazy, man. Crazy.
Well, listen, we've been talking about race relations, especially since the day that Barack Obama was nominated to be the candidate for president, and the very real possibility of a black man being president. Suddenly, it's a big deal. And black people are like, nah, man, this has been going on for decades.
Yeah, a couple of 100 years.
Yeah. So you honestly, there are some black people, you'll go out there, they'll be like, Barack Obama didn't do anything for us. He's a great role model and all of that, but he did not change race relations. Okay, he didn't stop black men from being killed for nothing.
Right.
Okay. And for every video we see where a black person gets killed or maimed or hurt every video we see, imagine the videos we don't see. Meanwhile, a little hairdresser lady in Texas cries because she went to jail because she defied a lockdown order, crying that she had to feed her kids. Like, if she was black, there might have been a raid. Shot.
Right.
Who knows?
I get it. Well, thanks for bringing it up. Let's monitor this, and
I will.
We'll follow up on it next week.
I'm woke
on our next show. You look woke. Okay.
I look really woke, don't I?
Yeah, buddy. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're gonna have to wind it down. I think we've been on for just about 2 hours at this point. It's been.
He doesn't usually have to use a whip and a chair and a pointy stick on me. I'm a little fired up. I think it's the 11% Dragon's milk stout that I'm
Dragon's
drinking.
milk,
that's 11% alcohol.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Well, it's a lovely stout.
It's a good time.
It's beer. I say beer. So I want to say thank you to our gracious guest for coming on.
Yes, my friend. We'll do it again real soon.
Giving us your time. We enjoyed.
Lenny, I love you.
Reminiscing.
Yeah, Gonzo, this was awesome, buddy.
We really had a good time. Anything you want to mention? You're usually a pretty low key guy. You like hitting the stage. That's where.
Well, he doesn't have any bookings to push.
Yeah, I got no plugs.
All right. Well, I tell you what. As soon as we get reopened, if you grace our stage, we'd love to book you. Somewhere in Boca.
Absolutely. We'll come on the show and plug it.
Yeah, and we'll definitely people. you know, every time I get out there, you know, the people who I have coming to my shows, the Sadman comedy shows, they always refer back to the great nights that they had when Lenny was the headliner. So they're all looking forward to seeing you again, and we look forward to having you out there again.
Awesome, buddy. You guys are the best.
Yeah, the best. And
No,
Gonzo,
you, my friend.
You.
Also, please check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and sadmancomedyproductions.com for any upcoming events. And although we don't have anything currently booked because we aren't 100% in the clear, and we need to have that kind of green light before we could actually
We're gonna
start
get
putting
there.
things
We're
in.
gonna get there.
We're so friggin' close. We could taste it. We're so excited, and everybody's chomping at the bit. Gonzo, you got anything?
Well, we got all kinds of stuff. I just literally, this is breaking news. I just got confirmed that rapper Deja Doll will be appearing on the Gonzo Radio Show tomorrow night. A lovely young lady who also happens to be a pretty hardcore fucking rapper. I love hardcore women rappers. I'm crazy like that. I'm nuts. I'm bananas. But tomorrow night, 8:00, Gonzo Radio Show. Also, don't forget the Problematic Podcast coming up Tuesday night with Dan Casso and Stephanie Wood. I don't know if they've got a guest, but I know that they're going to be laying it down like they normally do. And of course, all the other program besides Chat Fight at 7:00 on Sunday, really strong show. Really, really good stuff. Brett's settling in nicely.
He did well.
I really enjoy
him. I like that bow tie. Do you have a bow tie tonight?
Yeah, bow tie and a library background.
Sexy
He was nuts.
Sexy look.
And the Gonzo Radio Sports Desk, which is usually on at 11 a.m. every Sunday morning when there's actually sports to report. But yeah, that's all the plugging I got. Gonzo Radio Podcast at Gonzo Radio Podcast on Instagram, and Gonzo Radio Show or Gonzo Radio on everything Facebook.
Lenny, thank you so much for being with us. We love you,
brother.
man.
It was a lot of fun, buddy.
We'll see everybody next week.
Love ya.
Have a great night.
Cheers.
Cocktail hour.
For Gonzo Radio, this is Super Time 6000 2015 for Gonzo Television Station. Coming to the greater Sandusky, Ohio area. This is Pirate Bill, and this is Frank Welker saying, watch Transformers.